It's time for Minutes with the Mayor, brought to you by Mercantile Bank here in Quincy, and of course, our wonderful mayor, Miss Linda Moore. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. So we were just talking, and before we get into it, I was watching the city council meeting. I don't often get to go in person because we have so much going on, right? Everybody does. But I do watch. It is on Facebook every week, and I watched last night, and there were some great things. There were some great discussions. There was also something that caught my eye, and although I don't want to give a lot of spotlight to this fella, I do want to get your take on it, and that is the guy who showed up, who, in my mind, lost all credibility as soon as he showed up in sunglasses and a T-shirt to a public meeting. I know there's not necessarily a dress code, but as you mentioned, there is decorum. And then mentioned that he's from, or not from, but he lives in Chicago. Can you explain why he is here and what he was talking about? Because I couldn't quite focus with the sunglasses.
He is what's called a First Amendment auditor.
Okay.
The First Amendment, of course, is the right to free speech. And First Amendment auditors will go into public buildings, public places, police departments, fire departments, and try to film everything they can. They're trying to find either personal identifiable information that shouldn't be out on a desk somewhere, or they're trying to get a reaction from a public official so that they can put it on their YouTube channel and get views.
Clicks, yeah, okay.
Clicks. It's all about the clicks.
Okay.
They're not about transparency. They're simply about clicks.
They operate under the guise of First Amendment, freedom seekers, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. They also make a living off of suing public officials or public entities.
Okay.
Because a lot of times it's such a nuisance, the public officials or the public body simply wants them to go away.
Sure.
So they settle out of court.
Okay. Well, I don't know all the specifics about that. I think I've seen a couple of instances before with another individual. While I do wholeheartedly agree with transparency, especially in city government, I don't necessarily agree with someone coming from another place trying to hold our city accountable. I think we do that very well within our own backyard, and we don't need disruptions. So I would, I guess, encourage everyone to keep that in mind, that we're taking care of things, and if you have an issue, you have every right to go speak at the city council. I would recommend that you do it in a way that upholds the standard that we have for our community and those meetings. I was really proud of you for stepping in and telling him about the decorum, because
Thank you.
While it is free speech, we want to make sure that, we're upholding those standards.
You know, as a public entity, we can't have a dress code per se.
Okay.
We can't have a language code per se. We can't screen who's going to speak or what they're going to speak about.
Right.
But because it is the city council chambers, I think the area demands a certain decorum. You know, remove your hat when we say the Pledge of Allegiance. Put your hand over your heart. Remove your sunglasses when you speak.
Right.
And to address those things that are important to our community.
Absolutely. And, again, transparency is important, but that guy stood up there. To me, I don't want to speak for everybody, but he lost credibility when you show up to something like that. First impressions are king, in my opinion, and you show up for the job you want. Obviously, he didn't look very professional, so I will say, just keep that in mind when you're listening or encouraging or, getting into that kind of negative vortex. We have a job to do here, and that makes it even harder.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to touch on that because I figure everybody kind of deserves to know what that is and what's really happening there. Right. Okay. So onward, let's talk about nuisance abatement. So, of course, we had the first issue that went to court, and of course, the city won that court. I guess the court case, right?
And we will go back for a review hearing on September 25th to see the progress that's been made or where we're at with the whole case.
Okay.
We've since had other cases that we have taken. Whenever we can find a situation where maybe a person just needs a little help.
Sure.
We always try to connect them with somebody that can help them. A recent case, we had a veteran. And so we connected him with the Veterans Assistance Commission, and we found out there's also a relative in town that maybe could step in and help. So we're hoping that that will take care of the problem, and we won't have to use taxpayer dollars to clean up a property. We have another property where it's an elderly woman who physically just can't do the work anymore. Her son had a work issue and so couldn't get it done within the time frame that she was originally given. We gave her a little extra time.
Sure.
And they took care of it. So whenever we have a situation where it's a nuisance abatement, if the homeowner will, or the landlord will accept help, and we can connect them with somebody who can help them, we try to do that.
Sure.
Because whenever we can avoid using taxpayer dollars to clean it up,
Absolutely.
that's what we want to do.
So I think the misconception, especially with the first case that went through, is that he was being picked on. I mean, of course, you make up your own mind, read all of the facts, read all the stories. I think that the misconception is that we're looking for these types of things so that we can go after them and put liens on their home. That's just not the case. We want the end result is a greater quality of life for everyone, including neighbors around these properties, and something has to be done to do that. It may not always be pretty, but for the city to step in, sometimes it's necessary. But I like that the resources are going to be connected, and pretty much, as a last. Yeah, like the last solution we want is to put these liens on properties or to make them accountable for something they can't really help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't want to take somebody's property. We don't want to put a lien on a property. We don't want to be in the real estate business.
Right.
But sometimes for the greater good of the community or the neighborhood or the block, we have to get involved.
Sure.
And when we get involved, then yes, it comes with a hefty price tag because it's taxpayer dollars.
Right.
If we can avoid that, we do.
So now, are these nuisance abatement cases, are they public knowledge on the regular, so that if a community member wants to step in to help, do you know that if it's made? Because I know the only reason I'm asking is because neighbors around the first case were saying, well, let's pitch in, which I do. That's a great neighborly thing to do.
Right.
I wonder if people would be more willing if they knew that these cases existed and what maybe the case was.
Potentially.
Okay.
And there are some cases where I know we had one on the south side of town where some of the neighbors did pitch in to help because they knew the situation of the family. And when our inspector had originally noticed the nuisance after a complaint was called in, we didn't know the family situation. We don't ask those kind of things.
Sure.
And really, that's none of our business.
Right.
Yeah.
But if they want to share,
when we went to re-inspect, one of the neighbors came by and said, hey, what's going on? And the homeowner came out. And so everybody kind of heard the same story. And they said, we want to help. Can we help her?
Right.
And so we backed off and said, absolutely.
Absolutely.
We want that.
Yeah.
I grew up, and you probably grew up, where neighbors help neighbors all the time.
100%.
Now we're in a stage where a lot of people don't even know their neighbors, and it's unfortunate.
Right.
We're also an aging population, and there are a lot of homeowners who just physically can't keep up their property anymore, but they don't necessarily want to move to a nursing home, or maybe they don't have family here. We've had a number of service clubs and churches that have said, well, we'll help.
Sure.
If you have a case, let us know. And so that's where, if we can make a connection, we will.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, because I know people aren't as neighborly, myself included. I mean, I can't, you can't talk to
We're
everybody
all
all the
busy
time.
too.
Yeah. But I do know that if my neighbors were struggling and I knew it, I would feel the pull to help if I could. So just something to keep in mind. If you see, some of these things happening, maybe step in and see if you can help, right?
Sure.
No better way to
have a
put your
block
money where your
party
mouth is.
and
There you go. See?
Get our younger generation involved.
There you
Teach
go.
them how to mow grass.
Yes,
and things
right?
like that. Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of residential neighbors, let's talk about the Hope House. I know you had a couple of speakers on behalf of that project as well.
And we also know there are a few neighbors that don't really know what the Hope House is all about and have some fears, and understandably so. We decided that we would put it on the agenda to create an ordinance to allow for 3 weeks' time so that the Hope House volunteers can get out into the neighborhood and really have conversations with the neighbors about what they can expect, what the experience should look like, when to raise an alarm,
Sure.
If there's something going on. But that's really a great location for it. It's a very mixed neighborhood in terms
still
of
the
commercial.
location we were talking about before, so we're talking about
1603
rezoning.
Center
Okay.
Avenue.
Okay.
And there's some industrial right there. There's some commercial right there. There's another group home just up the street. There's a trailer park right there. There's some rental properties. There's some home-owned properties. So it's very mixed, but it's a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the whole idea behind Hope House is to get these women into a neighborhood setting and to give them a hand up, not a hand out,
Right.
so that they can then acclimate and move on and move up. You know, I know we have a few cases from the Madonna House that have been shared where women who were there because they had nowhere else to turn are now homeowners with families, and they have jobs and they contribute to society. And that's what we want.
Right. And I do understand the concerns, like you said, but I do think this is something good for our community. I love that these people are looking at this as a resource. So just real quick, if people want to get more information, so the Hope House is for expectant mothers
Correct.
that really don't have anywhere to go. And it's, I don't know all the specifics as far as time limits, how long they can stay there. I don't know, how it's funded, but I think if you want more information, stay tuned and tune into
Correct.
that.
And I believe Todd Hastings' phone number was actually in your article this morning.
Okay.
So people can look that article
Perfect.
up and give him a call, and he can share any information and answer any questions.
Perfect. Address any concerns. Very good. Really appreciate those folks who came and spoke. Okay, so on to something exciting. If you like fast food, even if you don't, right? Maybe give this a shot. We have a new one coming to town.
Exactly, Freddy's.
Freddy's!
Wonderful custard.
Yes.
I also had a sandwich there yesterday.
Did you?
It was fabulous.
Yeah.
I've heard about Freddy's. You know, they were originally in Kansas, and they've moved south, and they've moved east, and I think it's pretty exciting that we have it. They've renovated the entire building. It really looks nice. They focus on hospitality and customer service.
Okay.
So I think it'll
like
be
that.
a good dining experience. Even though it is, faster food,
Sure.
it's still a good dining experience, and I think that's what our people want.
Yeah.
They just want to have a good experience when they go out to eat.
Sure. I just wanted to say their French fries are a lot like Steak and Shakes were. They're the skinny kind.
Yes.
I don't know if you like that. I'm not here to be the French fry connoisseur. But I've been there a couple times. It's good. I will say overall, the benefit to me, even if I'm not a huge fast food, I love seeing that building occupied.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Well, and their onion rings are pretty good.
Are they?
And their tater tots are
All
good
right.
too.
My husband
So
will like that
you have
too.
some options.
Yes. And I'm not saying that we're going to, choose that over local places because, of course, you can't beat local. But it is nice to have options, and it is nice to have that building full.
Right.
So,
well, and they are all about building community. They
Yeah.
want to get involved in the community, help sponsor events or work with organizations. So I think they will acclimate to Quincy very, very quickly,
Okay.
and already have.
a good
So,
fit.
Yeah.
Well, good to hear. That's awesome. Okay. And then there was a gentleman that spoke last night that I noticed there were some people behind him that were getting emotional, and I got a little emotional, I will say. He was talking about 9/11 and the anniversary that's coming up.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yes,
Yeah, sorry.
we will have a ceremony at City Hall at 9 a.m. After that, volunteers will go out to the National Cemetery and clean the gravestones. Then all the volunteers will go to the American Legion Post for a free lunch, along with all the first responders
Okay.
throughout the community. I was in Connecticut for 9/11, and I remember being in the office and hearing somebody down the hall turn on the TV. So I'm watching it on TV as the second plane went into the second tower. It was so surreal. I worked with people whose families worked there.
Yeah.
So the whole day was just eerie.
Yeah. Very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely one of the darkest
But
days.
never forget.
Yeah. Never forget, always honor the people who lost their lives and the people who went to clean it up. I know that they're still struggling with a lot of the aftermath.
Absolutely.
So I think it's important that we honor those folks, and it's important to keep it local and do that, do something here in our community.
Well, and we have a piece of that tower
Yeah.
right there too, which I think is pretty cool.
Very, yeah.
It's a piece of that's right here in our community forever.
Yeah.
So, something we can cherish.
Absolutely. Yeah, we will definitely never forget. So if you want more information on that, I'm sure there will be more to come, but make sure that you get engaged there and show some support. Okay, and then city cleanup. Okay, so our neighbors do something, right? The Quincy Brewing, they do like a cleanup downtown.
Downtown,
Okay. So what's this like?
So the citywide cleanup is September 24th, 25th, and 26th.
Okay.
And it's for big items that you can't put curbside.
Gotcha.
So,
Mattresses.
mattresses.
Are there
yeah.
limitations?
Well, there are some limitations. Next week we will actually talk more on this program about it, what we can accept, what we can't.
Okay, perfect. But I think it is necessary. I think I mean, I know my house. It's amazing how fast stuff accumulates.
Exactly.
You think you have all this
Right.
space, and before long, it's just full of stuff.
So, and right now we do one a year.
Yeah.
We are working on a plan to do 2 a year, or maybe to do one that might be curbside pickup.
Gotcha.
So we're exploring those options.
Okay.
You know, I think there are a lot of people that don't have vehicles or trucks to get their big stuff down there. So we're working on a plan, and hopefully next spring maybe we can have something else.
Cool.
In addition to this.
So is there a date on the cleanup?
September 24th, 25th, and 26th.
Okay. So more information on what's to be accepted at the citywide cleanup, but stay tuned, get rid of your crap. Right?
Exactly.
All right.
Yes.
And then last thing, let's end on a fantastic note. I love that you are bringing light to this, and that's kids in our community that are doing great things.
We have some amazing kids, and I don't think they get enough respect or enough attention for doing things right.
Right.
Or for doing good things.
Sure.
You know, some of them just do it just because that's who they are, but I think they deserve credit for that. You know, rather than recognizing somebody for, you know, some accomplishment that maybe is good for them and could be good down the road.
Right.
Let's recognize them for doing good now.
Right.
You know, and shine the light on the people that are going to be our future leaders. You know, I just think our young people have so much to offer. We're going to be in such great hands down the road. So let's give them a little boost, give them a little encouragement.
Right.
You know, we have one young lady that comes to a lot of the council meetings, and
Yes.
she gets up and she'll say about 5 or 6 words. She's very shy. But good for her. I'm so happy that she is excited about city government.
Absolutely. And engaged. I think it's incredible. I also think that goodness begets goodness. And, you know, it kind of does. I always use the vortex, but when you see other people doing good, it encourages you to do the same. It's also kind of that expectation that we want you to know that these are good things in our community. And if you do it, we're going to shine the spotlight on you.
That's right.
I love
Exactly.
it. So I love that you're doing that. Keep that up. I love that you come here every week to talk about this stuff. It's important, again, for transparency and communication's sake, but it also is just another avenue that people can learn what's going on in our city and get engaged. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Mercantile.
Thank you, Mercantile, and thank you to all of you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Get engaged. This is your city. That does it.